All right. Hey, welcome to Learneezee episode 4. Uh, it's May 23rd, and I'm with my buddy and guest host, Rico Lazo. Hey, Rico, how you doing?
Hey Pat, how's it going? Doing well?
Oh, great, great. I'm doing okay. I wanted to start a little bit this week to talk about uh, a word of the week or words of the week. In this case, I wanted to get your take on this idea that I saw on Psychology Today on an article about this, and I heard it on a conversation on NPR about the 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 trauma that comes with social distancing, right? But that we should really be thinking of what we're doing to fight COVID-19 as physical distancing. And I wanted to get your take on this word play here. Why would social distancing be a little bit controversial when you think about it, Rico? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd actually heard about this concept as well. And we had spoken about this previously when you'd asked me about the challenges of working online. And I think I didn't use that terminology, but I think that social distancing versus physical distancing does have ramifications. So
Yes.
I think
Yes.
social distancing just kind of came up because as humans, we're social, so we need to just be apart from people so that we're not infecting others. But really, I think what we want to do is be physically distant, right? In the United States, we say 6 feet. I
Yes.
think in Europe and in Germany, you guys are using 2 meters,
Yeah, well,
a
we
meter and
it's
a half,
yeah, a meter and a half because it's just too far away.
a
Otherwise,
meter and a half.
yes, yes,
And
yes,
so I think it is really important to distinguish between those two things. And thankfully, a
mhm,
lot of technology companies have been able to provide technology that allows us to stay in contact with our loved ones, our friends and family, to be able to be socially close despite our physical distance. Even you and I, for instance, right? You're in Germany, I'm in the
yes.
United States,
Hmm.
but we're able to remain social and discuss, things.
Exactly. Yeah. At the moment, we're using Zoom as our way of keeping our social contact, and it allows us to communicate and really. The great part about it is currently Zoom is allowing you to have a 40-minute session for free, and that's something that allows you to stay connected with your friends, like myself and Rico, and with your family. I also contact my sisters in New York and my friends all over the place. Not only Rico, but friends and family. And it's really a great tool. And we have lots of great tools to keep socially connected. Have you ever used uh, an app called House Party? Have you ever used something like that?
No, I haven't used House Party. I've used Zoom. I've used
Okay,
Google Hangouts
Hangouts,
for
yes.
work
By the way,
before, as well as
yes, yes. I'm sorry, Hangouts. I think they've changed their name to Google Meet, or they still have Hangouts, and then they have Google Meeting. I
yeah.
think.
I think the
Yeah.
Google Meet is more of a professional sort of tool, but I'm
Yes.
not really certain
Hmm.
as I'm no longer working for anybody that's using Google as our technology.
Yep.
Um, but you know, um, I just think it's great to have a lot of tools. We have WhatsApp,
Yes. What's
a
up?
great tool. There's just many, many tools. It's not really about which software you use,
Yes. Yes.
as
True.
much as I think it's just important to use it to stay in touch, to remain social
Yes.
with your friends and family or work, whatever the case may be, so that you don't feel the repercussions of the stay-at-home orders, the quarantines that are now, it seems like, starting to end
Yeah.
in many places.
This idea of starting to end the quarantine is another thing that might make it difficult for people to start to see the difference, right? Uh, if you're about to go back to work, uh, by the way, do you still want to go back to work now after spending so much time at home with your family and getting used to family life and maybe becoming even more efficient working from home? Or do you think that working at the office is probably more efficient for you? That's the question many people are asking. And Rico, I think you brought up something in our offline conversation, or I used to say off-show conversation, about an article you saw. Can you tell the audience a little bit about this article that you saw about Twitter? Yeah.
Yeah, so I read an article that said Twitter initially was going to allow employees to work remotely for the end of the year, but now I think they're actually letting employees choose, or maybe it's a mandate now
Yeah.
that employees can work from home permanently, that
Wow.
there isn't a need to have to actually come into the office. And I think that's really, it's very interesting. I think there are going to be a lot of changes that come out of this COVID-19 pandemic, one of which is this notion of working from home, working remotely. And then to your point, how
Yes.
is that going to impact productivity? How is there going to be a paradigm shift of what companies want for their employees in terms of their productivity
Yeah.
versus, employees working from home and having a little bit more flexibility and when they do the tasks that they're asked to complete. So I think it's still very early to determine that. I have seen that productivity has only dipped a bit with people working from home, but I
Which is
know a lot of,
interesting, right? Because you assume, given the situation and the taboos that come with working from home, that productivity, if the idea of working from home is that working from home is inefficient, that productivity would drop significantly, but it hasn't. That's a shock to me.
well, that's what
Um,
I've read so far. I think it
yeah.
still remains to be seen, but I think that we'll have to just continue to play it by ear and see how companies respond. I mean, obviously, this only applies to companies who have employees and businesses, services, and goods that can be, sold over the internet.
Yes, of
But
course.
I think, of course, the industries hardest hit are the industries that can't do things online. So whether that's eating out, traveling, I mean, there are certainly softwares that support those industries, but we'll still have to see how it goes. But I think for a lot of families
Hmm.
who have young ones at home, the
Hmm.
notion of working from home is kind of nice because it can cut down on your transportation commuting time, having more family time. So we'll see how it plays out for sure.
What do you think about the negatives of working from home? If you still have the stigma around it, in terms of work being efficient in a sense, if you're being supervised in a way at the office, are you a fan of this concept of tracking software to allow for your boss to be able to check if you're working the right number of hours, or if you're surfing on Facebook on your work computer? Or do you?
Yeah.
I saw an article about this, so I'm kind of curious to get your point of view as a person who's worked online and offline. You know?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been of the mindset that you hire people to do a job that they're tasked with, and if they're not producing the results
Mm.
that they want from you,
Yeah.
well, then maybe there's another conversation that needs to be had about your being able to fill the responsibilities of the role. I am not one of companies tracking every move and thing that an employee does.
Yes. Sure.
Personally, I
Sure.
think it's sort of like George Orwell's 1984, Big Brother, keeping
That's the
tabs on us.
question. Yeah, I think it could be I saw this on NPR, this article about tracking software, and they did mention that the person that did report this incident to, or who did end up speaking to NPR about this issue, ended up looking for a new job because they were
Mhm.
not happy. They felt that the morale or the vision of their role at the company had been besmirched, or I hate to say besmirched, but basically they didn't feel the same way about the company anymore because they felt that the trust that they should be given was taken away by putting a tracking app, or being asked to have a tracking app on. And so this morale issue is going to come up over and over again, and
Yeah,
and
I mean,
and and that's a
I do
tough thing.
think, yeah, I do think
Yeah.
there are negatives. I mean, I think apart from
Yeah.
this notion of privacy and the employers having the right to look at employees' emails, their browsing
Exactly.
history,
Yes,
the
really.
productivity by having screen
Mhm.
capture. I mean, those are all legitimate conversations to be had.
Yeah, sure.
But I think other negatives are just not having that same camaraderie
Mhm.
of working with people in the office and having that water cooler talk. But
Exactly.
but I've actually also read articles that said that people are starting to reach out to employees that they wouldn't normally reach out to
Yeah, sure.
uh, via video or via chat. So I just think this is kind of there's going to be a shift
Yes.
work-wise going forward, much in the same way I think even when I go into the supermarket and you see these like plastic shields,
It's true.
I don't think the shields are ever coming down even after COVID. If it does go away, hopefully it does.
Yeah, sure.
So, I just think it's like, humans, we evolve, things change over time. And I think that whenever there's a major event that happens in humanity, it's, things are going to be a permanent, uh, they're going to remain permanently, much like when 9/11
It's true.
happened in the United States, that forever altered how we travel and airport security. So I think it still remains to be seen, but I think we can certainly expect more working from home. And unfortunately, for many companies, that's also going to require, keeping tabs on employees through software that tracks what they do, what they're, how much time they're spending on tasks and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's going to be a question that will be debated in the next years to come. How to develop company culture in the era of physically distancing or physical distancing. All right, so
Yeah.
we can put a we can move on a little bit. I think this is our episode for today, but
I just wanted to just highlight one thing, though, Pat.
okay, okay, yeah, yeah,
I think it is important, though, that we do keep physical distance
okay,
in person. I
okay,
think it's important to, follow the guidelines that are there, because that's really for our own protection.
okay,
And so being physically distanced from others is not meant to isolate you,
yeah, yeah,
because we're not asking people to be socially distant. We
yeah,
want people to be socially in touch with their friends and family,
one
uh,
hundred
whether
percent.
that's whether that's via video chat, regular chat, phone calls, whatever the technology is. You
Mhm.
still want to be social, but until we have a resolution to COVID-19, we do want to remember to remain physically distant, especially
And
with people that are not, people we come in common contact with.
yeah, and I think just to piggyback what you said, physical distancing is important, and also wearing a mask. Please, when you go into a restaurant or a location like a supermarket, please follow the rules of those locations and put a mask on so that you can show respect to the others that will be trying to physically distance themselves from you. But of course, the particles that come out of your mouth can travel that 2 meters or 1.5 meters, and for you guys 6 feet. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's keep it. Let's keep everyone safe, and that's a good way to end this session. Oh yes, I do not want to forget one tip. I'd like to give a tip at the end for parents looking for something to keep their kids entertained. The New York Times has come up with a nice interactive menu of activities. It's called a choice board for teaching and learning with the New York Times, right? And you can go on to the New York Times and basically once you go to the choice board, you have 10 different activities. Some of them are like telling stories, analyzing a photo, watching a short film, and much more than that. And it's for students that are from the age of 13 and up. So if your teenager is really bored and isn't really interested in doing any work, send them to the New York Times and let them have some fun there. Okay. And I think that's my tip of the week. And anything else, Rico, we should cover outside of this?
No,
Or
I think it was a good show, and I just say, looking forward to our next episode, Pat. I hope
okay.
you enjoy yourself in the coming days and week in Germany. And until next time,
Until next time, keep learning easy. Ciao.
bye bye.